Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS here, back here with part 3 of the case for investing in dyslexics. I nearly called it part 2 by mistake, so dyslexic mistake of me there perhaps, although probably anyone could have made that mistake, maybe, I don't know. But I know I do my videos live, so I don't edit them or anything like that. Anyway, I hope people out there enjoy it, and please share this video far and wide with all the dyslexics you know and all the families of dyslexics, people who have dyslexia in their family or are related to dyslexics or whatnot, obviously, and also anyone connected with dyslexia, or anyone who's charitable and wants to help their fellow human beings, including dyslexics, or especially dyslexics. Anyway, I'm going to try and crack on with the list, and I hope people out there enjoy it. And if any points that I raise, if you disagree with any points I raise, please let me know. And also, if you agree with any, or which are your least or your most favorite, please let me know. So yeah, maybe you could list your from, like, say, I don't know, the worst. The idea that I mentioned that you think is worse could be number 1, and then the last one could be number 10, or vice versa, or whatever. But yeah, it'd be great to know which, if any of these ideas you like and which ones you don't, and that kind of thing. And yeah, here goes. So please check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't already done so, and also look out for part 4, which hopefully will come out soon. Hopefully I'll get around to make it soon. So yeah, here goes. So number 21, to recap what some of the things I've been talking about. I would love to connect together all possible individuals and organizations, associations, NGOs and whatnot, basically all those involved in dyslexia together to support each other all around the world in developed, so-called developed countries, if you like, or first world countries, if you want to call them that, whatever the word you want to use, and developing or third world countries, if you want to use that term, or even second world countries or whatever, if you want to, whichever term you find most appropriate, politically correct, or whatever you want to use. I know some people don't like the word third world, but I don't mean it in a derogatory term, obviously. But in fact, I want to support people from the third world or developing countries, if you like. As if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that. So another incentive to support my videos, if you want to support those in developing countries, because if I can raise money on this channel, I can help those people, including like supporting dyslexic entrepreneurs in those nations as well, like Nigeria, Kenya, Cameroon, all over Africa and Asia, and countries that are colonized. And also I love for on dyslexic entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, Charles Schwab, and others that I've talked about before, to as many of them as possible, Paul Orfala and the rest of them, to as many of them as possible, I would say, to set up their own academies for dyslexics in those countries to learn about things like business and to pass on what skills and knowledge they have. But I love for us to train and teach each other generally. And I sort of jumped ahead at the point because number 22, I probably should have left that for point number 22. I'd love for us to, I say us, I'd love for some dyslexics, or those dyslexics who are in the position to do so, like Richard Branson, to create things like maybe the Virgin Virgin Enterprise Academies for first-time businesses. Apparently the reason why they call it Virgin Enterprises is because they were like virgins of business. So that's what they say. That's what Richard Branson said. So yeah, if they could create things like, or even the Richard Branson Center for entrepreneurial excellence in those countries, especially for dyslexics, or even generally, but obviously I'm mainly focusing on dyslexia in these videos. Number 23, again, I hope that we can help the least advantaged amongst dyslexics, so those who are struggling, especially in developing countries. And again, these videos are about raising awareness as well, so people from those nations, including politicians, teachers, and the wider society, families and whatnot, or as I say, people generally in those countries, especially decision makers, will find out that there are positives about dyslexia as well. So even if a dyslexic person is struggling in the classroom, rather than beat them up or shout at them or put them down or tell them off all the time, they can see hopefully that there are many positives to dyslexia, and they can do other things very well, even if they're not the most academic. So I hope will help all possible dyslexics, especially the lowest of the low, so to speak. And again, I'm not using that term obviously, or that sort of speech in a derogatory term. I'm trying to say that those at the bottom end of society who need the help, basically. That makes sense. So being charitable, and the number 23 always reminds me of philanthropy, charity, charitability, fundraising, investments and things like that, fundraising and that kind of thing. Number 24, again, I'd love to especially help those from developing nations and former colonies and that sort of thing to have their own awareness of dyslexia and to have their own academies to support dyslexic entrepreneurs in those countries, and even young people to have the confidence to set up their own business, young people with dyslexia. I needed to put more sugar in that tea. Sorry, I'm going off topic, but as I said before, I'd love for the next Richard Branson or Charles Schwab or whatnot to be someone from Malaysia, India, Indonesia, Singapore, another part of Asia or Africa, or another former colony. But yeah, I'd love to support dyslexics worldwide. And as I say, for us to support each other and encourage each other, pass on skills to each other, knowledge that we know. Well, I suppose you can't pass on skills possibly, but knowledge or information or things like that, we'll share it with each other in the ways which are best for each other. Like, it would be great if we could meet up or at least discuss on Zoom or things like that. So on that note, I would love for dyslexics around the world to talk about whether you'd be interested in a Zoom network. Maybe I'll try and create some Zoom network events and post them onto both my Facebook and YouTube channels, my Facebook profile and YouTube channel, so that I can get dyslexics and other neurodiverse people around the world to sort of connect. It would be great to have dyslexic entrepreneurs, including like people like Richard Branson, Charles Schwab, Craig and Corn, people like that, to connect and be part of these, even like Tommy Hilfiger and people like that, who's also dyslexic, Steven Spielberg. So all sort of share projects. Maybe we can look at how we can collaborate and help each other to reach our full potential. Even those who are successful could be perhaps benefit from networking with others to be even more successful, and hopefully celebrate each other's projects, which I hope to share with like the Festival of Dyslexic Culture. I shared some of my videos with them and other organisations. Again, I know for all possible dyslexic organisations around the world to network with each other, organisations, schools and whatnot, so they can pass on information, what they've learned with each other, especially helping those from developing nations or countries, whichever term you prefer. Number 25, being a bit biased, I would love to also especially have such in republics, but again, I'd love for this to be worldwide. Number 26, again, as an anti-imperialist, I would love to do so, especially in former colonies, even including Ireland. When it comes to Europe, the only country I'd love to support financially would probably be Ireland, as I mentioned before. Although in football terms, I'd love to support Italy, and I suppose that would include or involve. I suppose I tried to amalgamate those words. That would involve and include finances. Number 27, I hope that we will acknowledge those who have supported the dyslexic community in the future, those who have helped us to produce our works. I often talk about like 1, 2, or 1, or share, 1 to 1, or 1 for 1, or share, you could say, or like for like. So what people do for us, we do likewise back to them, basically. I hope that made sense. In the fairest possible way, shall we say? But yeah, I mean, trying to be forgiving at the same time as well, but mainly focusing on rewards rather than punishments. But yeah, so people who help with things like with writing books, or with YouTube, or with investing in us, or whatever other sort of things they do, we could have like a shout out on our YouTube channels, or there could be a YouTube version of this, perhaps specifically like bringing dyslexic organisations together, which could be different dyslexia channels, like the case for investing in dyslexics could be its own channel. Perhaps someone out there wants to make it for the dyslexic community, preferably someone with dyslexia themselves. Also, it could be like the one-stop shop for all things dyslexia, and things like that. Those could be specific YouTube channels where we link with each other and subscribe to each other, give each other subs and that kind of thing, and just generally like each other's videos and support each other, which I talked before about. Again, another way we could support each other is on YouTube, and things like we can invest in each other as well, which hopefully will encourage others to want to do the same. I'd love to also encourage my fellow dyslexics, as I say, to support Town for themselves as much as possible, and that's going to be a hard sell, including financially and also with our ideas, or vice versa. Number 28, I hope this will again change the perception of dyslexia from a negative into a positive. And I think people have already worked on a lot of these things, so a lot of it is just copying, pasting, and utilizing information that's already there. So as someone who's a bit laid back and doesn't like to work too hard, I find that pretty cool. The work's already been done there for me. I was going to sit on the bed actually on that note and do this video, but my back started killing me, so that's why I'm sitting on using a desk. So I mentioned that as a side note, but yeah, not sure why I mentioned that point. I meant to say in the intro, but anywho, moving on. Number 29. I love to support, as a multicultural dyslexia, so dyslexic people of all backgrounds. As I say, this will be like hopefully global all around the world, including, as I say, especially in developing countries. But like my fellow mixed race people with dyslexia, months with dyslexic months, as I call us for a joke, and that kind of thing. By the way, it's World Anglo-Indian Day tomorrow. A side note, and I'm going a bit off topic, but anywho, number 30. As ever, I would love to read your thoughts, and I wish you a good day, evening, afternoon, or whatever, depending on where you are. I'm being a bit lazy. I'm still in my pajamas at 3 p.m. to be honest. I should admit that, but anyway, I am out. Peace and love.